Welcome back to the Muster Point podcast Beyond the Wire. And we've got another incredible interview with Scotty's Little Soldiers founder, Nikki Scott. And we've got a mutual friend, Kevin Godlington, who I believe is or was and still is involved with Scotty's. And I interviewed him the other day and he was telling me that Scotty's is his primary focus in regards to charity. And obviously the guys took Lee's initials or dog tags, was it, up to the top of Everest? Which,
yeah, his name tag that's on
yeah,
his cabbage. Yeah,
it's
they did.
brilliant.
Yeah, I love Kev. Great.
He's mad as a box of frogs, isn't he? But
Yeah, I love him. It's
yeah,
funny.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he just says what he thinks, and yeah, he's been so supportive. Yeah, really great guy.
So let's start at the beginning. So what led you and inspired you to start Scotty's? Because I was saying to Kev, I got blown up in Afghan, and obviously countless men and women lost their lives, and it's about the veteran or about the injured serviceman. And I forget, obviously, families that are impacted and children. So it's incredible. Tell us the story of where it began.
Yeah. Okay. So because I'm conscious as well, because you guys have been through it. So when I'm speaking about my personal experiences to veterans, especially, I'm like, oh God, I hope I don't say anything that's gonna like affect you guys. But I think you would have heard and seen a lot more than what I say anyway. So but basically, yeah, so my husband Lee was a corporal in the 2nd Royal Tank Regiment, loved serving, like was so proud, as he used to say, to serve his queen and work for the queen. And but it was also, I didn't realize actually until like after that, I feel like I was quite lucky to have a husband like Lee, or he was known as Scotty in the army, hence the charity's name. Because he was always quite hands-on with the kids and like quite a family man, and quite would involve us whenever he could. And I didn't realize that wasn't always normal for guys to be like that. So yeah, never had to nag him to help with the kids or do
What,
stuff.
never?
No, honestly,
Yeah.
he loved the kids. Like, I mean,
He sounds like the ideal man, did he?
yeah, I didn't really, he weren't. Let's not put him there. But I'll still keep it real.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he was a hands-on dad, really good dad, and I was lucky like that. But yeah, he was serving in 2nd Royal Tank Regiment, and we were living in Tidworth at the time. And I knew that obviously, you guys do tours, that's what you're in the military for. And I think as a wife, I was probably quite naive. Like, I didn't really think about that stuff, probably to protect myself. But as he was doing more and more training, getting prepared for Afghan, like obviously it's kind of on your mind a bit more, but it's always like I was thinking of it more from, God, he's going to be away for 6 months. That is so long to be away. And like, he's going to miss Brooke's first birthday, but at least he'll be back for Christmas. So I was kind of like, yeah, more that I was probably being selfish. Like, oh, I'm going to be on my own again for 6 months with the kids. Like, I didn't really think about what was going on. And then, as the tour, Lee was only 6 weeks into that tour, but even just those first 6 weeks was quite, when Trooper Hammond was killed, I remember that was the first time that I was like, oh, okay, like they're really out there. This is actually happening. I also did think, because the welfare team called me to say there'd been an incident that Lee was involved in, but he was okay, but there had been a fatality. And then I realized it was Josh. And I think from that moment on was when my like little psycho head was like, oh, okay. Like, and then I was just constantly like, couldn't sleep, like just thinking like, what's he up to? Where is he? Like, he could be in Camp Bastion sound asleep, like for all I knew, but it's the not knowing. And I know like me and Laura Hopkins, like were really close, and we would just check in on each other all the time, because we were suddenly like paranoid of looking out windows for cars. And like we had to talk each other down quite a lot. But I think I'd spoke to Lee after Josh as well, and it was the first time that I'd ever really heard Lee, I don't know, like tell me stuff. Like, he'd never really talk about what you guys do or what you would be up to, because he wouldn't want to tell me that stuff. But that was the first phone call where he was really low. and, you know, was saying stuff about, you know, washing the blood off and things like that without even realizing what he was saying to me. And I think that was when I really realized that this was bad out there. And then, you know, a couple of days later, I spoke to him again, and you know, I'm not saying they were all over, you know, got over it, but he was just more focused. He was like, we're doing this for Josh. Like we're boosting morale. We're back out there. Like, you know, there was a real purpose to it. And he sounded like the old Lee again. And I'm really glad that I had that conversation, because that was in the end my last conversation. So on the 10th of July 2009, Lee was killed. And I think, like, I'd been out with Laura and my friend Holly, and I was just coming back to my house to get the car to pick up Kai from school. And I was pushing Brooke, and I just remember 2 cars driving past. And it was like I instantly just, it was my day to be down out of the girls. It was really weird. I hadn't spoke to Lee for 5 days. I was getting low. And then, seeing these 2 cars. But I was literally like, Lee's been hurt. Lee's been hurt. Oh my God, Lee's been hurt. I never even thought the worst. And then as they pulled up to my house, like, I was crying walking down the path, because I just knew those guys were coming to my house. And then they just asked, are you Cpl Lee Scott's wife? So, and then took me indoors to tell me. So it's just
one of the biggest things I suffer guilt from, which was out of my control. After I got injured, it was I remember some years later having a conversation with my sister, because it was my sister that was the one that had the knock on the door, and it hurts me, right? I can feel it right there. That I can't imagine, I cannot even comprehend having that knock on the door, or it's horrible, and it's that's the real the real consequences of war. A lot of people see it on TV and think, oh yeah, that's sad, but
I used to get that a lot. Like, I used to just think, oh, it's another number. Like, the news was on constantly after Lee died. It was really bizarre. It was like all that was on the telly, Sky News. It was weird. And like, just like another they were just counting the deaths of Afghan, and you sit behind it and think, all those numbers are people that have people that love them, that are guys that are young, that it's just it's really hard. And like, you know, we're 15 years on, I can talk about it and look back on it, but when it's still instantly, like, now I can feel it, like, you know, like, it just that never goes away. That's surreal. It's just surreal. It's like, this is not happening. Like, I've had nightmares of this, so I can't quite figure out if this is real. And also the fact that, like, if Lee had gone out that morning, you know, and had a car accident, I would have still had his cup on the side or his toothbrush in the bathroom, but nothing was like different. Literally nothing was different. I was like, it still feels like he's on tour. The only thing that is different is the phone, the landline isn't ringing, and I'm not running for my life for it. Do you know what I mean? It was it took ages for me to, like, be like, even now, I can wake up and have a dream and be like, it's all been I think Lee's still out there. Like, I never saw him. Maybe actually he's still out. It just plays with your mind. Like, it's hard. But you know, the amount of, like, families that I now know, bereaved, you know, everyone goes, it's always different, obviously, and you experience different things, but that part is always the same. Like,
and I guess that that sadness, it was what the driving force behind setting up Scotty's.
100%. Like, I mean, at the time, you know, I remember being like Kai. Well, I mean, Brooke was a baby. She was 7 months old. So obviously it wasn't like my mum was down for weeks. I was very lucky. I had some amazing mates on my doorstep. You know, the RTR wives and families were just insane. Like, I love those guys. And I should say 2 RTR God, the 2 RTR.
I've heard there's a clear separation between them.
But I was lucky, you know, they were incredible, like, literally cooking me dinners, coming round, making me do things, you know. Eve and I did think that must be hell for those guys. Like, some of them had husbands still on tour, some of them, so the guilt they felt and all these different emotions of, like, will she want, but you know, like, I had some amazing, like, Lisa Rowe and Chris Churcher. They would just come around, whatever, don't care. But even if I'd be like, no, I want to just be on my own, they would just still be knocking on my door. And I've looked back now, I think they were the best. That is what I needed to keep me going. Kai was, 5. So he was literally, from the moment I got told, because I was meant to be picking him up from school. So literally I was just like, what about Kai? What about Kai? And then as the days sort of passed and the weeks passed, there's so much information to take in that you're just like, because you're talking repatriate, all the stuff that as a 28-year-old, I'm like, I have no idea what the hell we're meant to be doing. Like, what? This is a lot of responsibility, and all those.
Plus being a mother to 2 kids, plus grieving your husband.
Yeah, plus being like, when there's important life-changing decisions, I would normally talk to Lee. And you never feel so alone, and you're making massive decisions that you're like, I don't know if this is going to upset his family if I make this call, the kids, Lee, God, what would Lee want me to do? What's right by his mates? What's right by the regiment? It was just everything, down from funeral to headstone to where I live, because that instantly was like oh my God, this is not my house. Like, but I don't want to move out this house because this is where my memories are. Yeah. But this is not mine anymore. Like, and it's bizarre. Like, and then finances and all that stuff that I just didn't have a clue. I was like, I don't understand any of this stuff. Like, I'm saying yes to stuff that I've not got a Scooby-Doo about this stuff. As well as as well as having a 5-year-old and a 7-month-old that I just like, I look back now and I think, God, I don't know how I did that, because I know my mum, basically.
Good old mum.
Because I just couldn't, and when you've got a 5-year-old boy telling you when you're laying in bed, I want Cocoa Pops, and screaming, like, you somehow have to get yourself going. But back then, it's just
out of interest, did the army military support you at all?
Yeah, I hear really mixed. Like, I speak to different widows and different partners and families, and I hear such mixed messaging. I feel like I couldn't have asked for better from the regiment, if I'm honest. Like, my VO was Jace Horn, who served he was a tanky. So I feel like, VOs vary in who you get. And I since my role now, like I've been on training with VOs. We're in the purple packs, which is the pack that bereaved families get when there's a death in service. So I've seen it from the other side, and I feel like I had one that went above and beyond of anything, and there's a line between professional and being too friendly. And I see that from when I listen to the training from the VOs, and I get all and then I see it from a family of, like, the guys that told me, I've never seen them since, as far as I'm aware. I can't remember seeing them again, which is what is meant to be like. And your VO is normally someone within your regiment. But what I loved about the fact that Jace was mine is that he served with Lee, like in Kosovo, I think it was. So I instantly had a connection. I didn't want to meet any bigwigs. I was not interested in their, like, sorry for your loss. I was like, you didn't even know him. Like, but I wanted the lads around me. It was bizarre. I just wanted, like, and with that tour, only Lee Squadron went. So I feel like, actually looking back at my support, I had his best mates, Mav and Moon were around all the time. Chris Church, I had lots of people around me that helped me feel close to him. And they were the ones that I wanted around me. But yeah, I can't remember your original question now. I'm waffling away.
But no, it doesn't matter. It's good. Was there opportunities for personal therapy? I know you got a lot of support out of the friends and but professional sort of, I don't know, grief therapy, bereavement therapy, how to process those.
No, not really. I feel like and that's what your point was before. So my focus was on Kai. And I remember even in the early days, I did get stuff like the Widows Association. I got a letter from them, very personalised, so they knew my, Kai and Brooke's names and stuff, which meant a lot. There's like a purple pack that the family get given. It's got lots of different information in it, but there was nothing about children, and that was my thing. I was like, and I never instantly thought I'm going to start a charity, but just in the back of my head, I was like, God, even when you're having these tough decisions or conversations with the padre and different people, I'm like, my kids are in the back. If it weren't for my mum taking them out the house and stuff, it was quite full on. And I just kept thinking, like, what support? I wasn't really thinking about me. I was thinking about what support is Kai going to need to get through this. And it wasn't until I went on holiday, like 9 months later, that I really was like, okay, I need to pull myself together. sort myself out. Lee would be screaming at me how I've been living, for Kai, and really get him the help that he's going to need, because he laughed on that holiday like he hadn't laughed. Like, I'm not saying we hadn't tried to do things with him, but he really relaxed. And a holiday doesn't make it all better or anything like that. In fact, I did not want to go on that holiday at all. The thought of seeing other families was like, no thanks. Like, mine has fallen apart, and I've got to sit next to a load of families enjoying themselves. And even the thought of going to the airport with 2 young kids was like, no. But my cousins were like, you're coming. Again, it's that forced me to do it. It was just, I don't know what you say, you're coming. And now I look back and was like, it was actually just what I need. Like, I needed that time out to think. Kai clearly needed it. So after that holiday is where the idea for the charity came. And it's interesting on the therapy, like you say, like, as I've gone on and I've trained, in childhood bereavement, and I've obviously worked now with a team that's all they do. And it's interesting to learn that, not everyone will need, not every child will need therapy, not everyone will need, and there's different levels. And I think that's what I love about Scotty's, is that somehow we've created this like holistic support bubble that is like, you can pick and choose what you need depending on your experience. So like, not every child will need the one-to-one bereavement support. Some children will just need a group event and to make friends with other kids that have gone through it. Some will just need a bit of help, someone to speak to their teacher and help train their teacher on how to deal with them. Some will just need to receive gifts at tough times to know they're not alone. It's really interesting. We never sat down at the start and gone, this is what Scotty's will look like in 15 years. We'll do this, then this. But it has grown from like getting to know other bereaved families and realizing there's still gaps.
That's the thing. Every human needs a different level of support. We're all individuals, and
God, it'd be so much easier if like one size fitted all.
Of course, it'd make it a lot more efficient. But unfortunately, we're all have it doesn't work like that. Go on, Steve. You had a question.
Lee died on the 10th of July 2009. When was it that you? Because I seem to remember in Tidworth, was there a big fundraising day or something? It's so long ago, but I just remember it, and I don't know. When was that?
So we had we launched the charity the following year, and we had a big launch day. But before that, literally, and I can't even believe this, I think it was in the August, so a month later, which is like insane. When I look back now, I'm sure it was just a month later that we had a 50-mile walk. And I know what it like when I look back at myself now. I'm like, I needed to keep busy, like, and that is what the charity has done. It literally has saved me. I've never really stopped since Lee died, if I'm honest. Like, have to be busy, have to be planning something. And so I was like, I want to raise money. I felt like I wanted to raise money for bereaved military children. This was the other thing that was so interesting back then. I wanted to donate the money. No, that was it. So originally it was like Lee was going to be buried in Kings Lynn in Norfolk, where his dad lived, where we met and, were from. And this is those big decisions that I'm talking to you about. Like, I lived in Tidworth, but knew that I wouldn't live there forever. They're like, where do you want Lee buried? I was like, I don't know whether to bury him here because I want him close. But actually, his family are there. Will I move back there? I don't know where I'm going to live. Like, so we decided that Lee would be buried in Kings Lynn, but then I wanted to raise money for a bench in Tidworth so that I had somewhere to go while I was there, and actually that there was a mark in Tidworth of Lee, and the boys could go there if they wanted to. And so that was the original goal of raising the money. That's right. I needed £2,000 because this bench was really good. It has the kids' handprints in it and everything. It's so special when we go back.
That's amazing.
Like, look at my hand, like. So it's a really good bench. So we needed £2,000. I remember the public were just insane. Like, the generosity, like, everyone just wanted it. I mean, it was in the hype of, Afghan especially, but everyone was so generous that we raised 6 through doing that walk. And that again, I was like, right, I want to donate the rest to bereaved military, but for children, because they were Lee's 2 biggest loves. Like, and I couldn't find anywhere to donate it to, which was the other reason. So the money sat there waiting. And after that holiday, I was like, there's money in the bank. Let's do it ourselves then. Like, didn't have a clue what I was doing, to be honest.
So coming back from that holiday, you've raised this money and you've got this rough formation of a plan.
Yeah.
So how did we get to, or how did you get to the begin or start in Scotty's?
So I remember sitting round the table in Tidworth, my dining room table, and I can't remember who exactly was out. I remember my brother Stuart, the VOJs, Trev Hopkins. There was loads of different people sat around this table, and I was like, I've had this idea. I've got some money for a startup charity. Like, I want to raise enough money and provide something so that bereaved families can have a holiday. So I want to own a holiday home. And I remember Trev said, then let's do it. Like, if we can help 5 kids to smile, then it's worth it, right? And that was like, we were all like, yes. Like, and it was all, the name was always really clear as well. Like, it was always going to be Scotty's, and it was always going to be Scotty's Little Soldiers, because that's what he used to call Kai. And I remember Jace Horn saying as well, like, don't forget about the guys that, you know, don't die in Afghan. Like, he had a friend that died, done a tour, came back and died 2 weeks later in a motorbike accident. And he was like, you know, really think about who you want to help. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie, my uncle had, because there was talks about like foundations, you know, we could just start a foundation, and I was like, yeah, but that's just donating money to, and I would do that, but I can't find anywhere that fits this thing. Like, it's not. And I'd had some messages like on Facebook about from other widows that where their husbands had been killed in Iraq and Afghanistan, and they'd sort of reached out to me at the time and said, you know, if you ever need anyone to chat to. And I remember talking to them and saying, you know, if there was a charity for bereaved kids, would your kids join? Would you want that? It's like, because there doesn't seem to be anything. Maybe it's not wanted. And they were like, we will totally be like behind you. So kind of knew there was a rough need, and the people around that table. So yeah, my uncle was heavily involved. He was like a trustee of a charity before, so help, because just filling out the form was like, what? Why is this so hard? Like, what? And then my brother, who is now CEO of Scotty's, was heavily involved. Like, everyone says Nikki founded Scotty's. It was completely joint effort. I take the credit. He sits in the back, but I'm like, he had the brains. I just told him what I wanted, and he's helped develop it. So yeah, that's how it started.
And what? So where did Kev come in? How did you get hold of Mr. Godlington?
I can't. Well, it's a small world, isn't it? Right. So my cousin was trustee of a charity Backup. She's paralysed from just above the waist down. Because she was involved in a car accident in her early 20s. And she was on a fundraiser, I think, don't quote me on this. She was on a fundraiser and met Kev. Yeah. And said to Kev, I really want you to meet my cousins. Like, I think you'll really want to do it. And he'd obviously founded Tickets for Troops. So originally it was just about, can we meet you about Tickets for Troops supporting like bereaved families as well. And then, I meant to meet him. So years and years and years ago, we went to his house, met him, and he's just been in the background. He comes to our annual ball, spends loads of money, bless him, brings lots of good people with him, like Foxy and stuff that, you know, people are going to want to come and see. So just being in the background quite a lot. He's someone that I could ring up and go, do you know this person? Do you know this person? What do you think of this? And he just tells you yes, no. Don't bother with that crap, Nick. Like,
well, you need, didn't it? Direct and to the point. I think the other day when I spoke to him, he said, yeah, Nikki just turned up at my house, knocked on the door, and I loved it. I think she's incredible. I love Scotty's, and I'm like that. I get it, Kev. He's just full on. I love his energy.
Too.
So what were some of the challenges in the early days?
Oh God!
Apart from signing up with the Charities Commission,
that's the hurdle. It's like they don't make it easy, which is good, I guess. But biggest hurdle is just like credibility, like massive. I remember going to organisations within the MOD and just the military charities, and literally being told. In fact, it weren't so much the MOD; you couldn't even get near them at the start. But like, just sort of that vibe of, oh, she's an army widow, she's grieving. And, you know, she won't be around much. So we're just like, and then very much got constant no's. You can't do that. Like, no other charities do that. You can't do that. No, you can't do that. That was
surely if no other charities doing it, then it should be, that's brilliant. Do it.
It's the way charities are they do things in a certain way. This is how they act. And we were like, but that doesn't help. Like, that's taking months to do something. Like, we need to do it now. So Stuart would always be like, he's the level-headed one. So I'd come out of a meeting and be like, oh, oh, like, this is not fair. Like, when we're trying to help. And he'd be like, right, Nick, then what we need to do is we'll raise the money ourselves. We'll do it ourselves. And then we'll show them the impact that that's having and the difference it's making. And then they'll want to come on board to continue it. And that's kind of how Scotty's has happened, really. And it's weird because back then you're frustrated. I actually think it's taught us so many lessons and ways of doing things a bit different and not being scared to be like, we'd turn up to meetings or like big conferences. Like I used to work in pubs and in childcare. So it's quite daunting anyway, because you're suddenly around people that, like, for me, I'm like, oh, they're really intelligent. They're like all wearing suits. And me and Stuart rock up in a Scotty hoodie. And you're just like, oh, God, everyone's looking at us. But the amount of people that say, oh, it's really, I'll come over because I know who you are because you're wearing your hoodie. It's like, why don't everyone do this? Like, why are you in a suit when, like, you should be wearing your branding and advertising everywhere you go? And then people know who you are, so you have better conversations, because otherwise, if I was smartly dressed, I wouldn't have a clue who I was. And it's just learning things like that, like not being afraid to actually stand out and do it a little bit different. Plus, we're a children's charity, so it was like, we're not going to be in suits, and it's a bereavement charity, but it's also about helping young people to thrive and have fun and know it's all right to have fun after a death. Like, so, and the colours are obviously were Second Royal Tank Regiment colours, although I keep being told it's not sapphire enough, it's too yellow, but I'm like, there's like saffron, sapphire.
All right, Steve.
It's not yellow. It's not yellow. It's saffron.
Yes, exactly. And just there are so many little touches to Lee that people might like. Obviously he's a corporal, but even on like our mascot, his shoelaces aren't done up because like he weren't the neatest soldier, and like But when I had to go and get his belt for his repatriation. I went upstairs and then I brought it down. I remember speaking to Jace and I'm like, oh, Jace, you won't believe Lee's belt buckle, like the regiment's, is blue tacked to his belt. And they were like, do you want us to fix that? And I was like, nah, leave it blue tacked on. It's just like stuff like that. Like, oh, God, Lee.
So by the sounds of it, you do a lot. It's not just about the fun stuff of going off and having a holiday or that, but I mean, did you go straight in big, offering everything? How did it start?
No, it's always because you never have money, so you might, the stuff's often in your head. Like the team are looking at 5 years time. There's no point going over that because stuff changes, the world will change, things change. Look at the technology, and even 5 years, you've got to be ready to adapt it. But once you start measuring impact, evaluating things, you're speaking to families all the time, like every day, like constantly in touch with different families. So you can start to see a need and you see what, so we've got a plan. Like we're already talking about, we've just had new team kits because we're actually like, there's a massive gap in the whole bereavement military world, like, parents, siblings. There are so many families that come to us to say, could you help? And we have to go, this is shit, but I can't, like Scotty's are bound by, by our charity commission statement, I cannot help you. We always try and go, but actually these resources will help with any child. Like, have you heard about this play? Like, we're always try and do what we can, but actually we can't join them as members because
a bit of signposting.
100%, and even to the, for our families, is like the bit about what support you do. A lot of it, even from the early days, was the more trust you build with the families because you're sending them gifts at tough times, because you might do a fun event. So that's how we started with our Smiles program. Originally, it was never called the Smiles, but we didn't realize it was going to turn into that. But naturally, it's just happened. So it'd be like the holidays. Families can book holidays to go away and make new memories. And, we now realize all the stuff we were doing was, we knew it was to help in certain areas. But actually, when you then research and learn more about bereavement, you realize that actually that hits. That is why we do it. We just say, oh, it's to help them make new memories. But now we realize that actually there is lasting impact of a breakaway and making new bonds and talking as a family. And if you've got that bond of a family, that is going to help you. So a lot of the stuff we do is all about actually, can we prevent a child from actually even needing one-to-one therapy, like, or counselling, because actually if we can wrap that care, I mean, it's like prevention of suicide, it's not to the extreme, but do you know what I mean? If we can put these steps in place, these children know that we are here whenever they need us, and they can dip in and out of that. They keep in touch with us because they want to receive their gifts and vouchers, so they tell us where they are all the time. They start to ask you everything, like, so, because they're like, who else do I ask? So when they ask us, we won't just signpost, "Oh, try these guys." We'll make that call so they don't have to repeat their story. So it might be about pensions, medals, housing. My child's about to be expelled from school. I don't think they understand what is going on in his world right now because it's been a few years. So they're like, he's over his bereavement. And it's like, actually, he's learning about, you know.
Because people get over stuff like that.
This is what happens all the time. You're like, is this not common sense? That, like, and also you just don't realise the triggers, you know, that it can be like Brooke, you know, she doesn't mind me talking about, but she was 7 months old. So I even naively thought she won't have the memories. She's not going to ever know life with Lee, sadly, horribly, but she's almost going to be more protective. And then as you realise that actually she's got a whole level of, like, I don't know, my identity. I can't remember anything. She gets so angry because she can't remember. And I'm like, it's impossible. She's like, I've missed out. It's not fair. I'm jealous of Kai that can remember little bits like dad's yogurts and things, but, like, you know what I mean, it's so bizarre how two children are brought up the same way, and yet I don't know if you can hear my dog crying. And it's just bizarre, and it's the way that I just think people are just naive a lot of the time and just don't think. And actually that's what we do a lot with teacher training, like, when, like, it's just being aware. They're not asking for a lot. They're asking for a heads up. This lesson is going to cover something that may affect you. Your exam, your GCSE exam in English is going to be a war poem about someone being killed in Afghanistan. Like, Brooke had to sit through videos of, like, someone being blown up in Afghanistan. And she's just sat there like, what the hell? Like, why wasn't I warned that this video? And then if she tries, you know, kids try and leave the room and they're like, you can't leave, that this could be in your GCSEs. Like, this could affect. And it's about trying to, like, with Brooks School, we were like,
sounds like child abuse to me. That you will watch.
I know, it's so much,
Bloody hell.
But it's not always the teacher's fault or the school's fault. And we're quite, you know, they have hundreds of thousands of kids that all have a different background and all have, but actually we're working with so many schools now and teacher training at universities to try and help just put in that little bit of guidance, like, of what will help. And that has all come from the young people. That is them telling us, this is the priority for this year. You have to do, like, it weren't our way we were going, but that is them going. So, and then when you hear it, you're like, oh my God, like, nearly every child in this year has mentioned this. Like, so we take their direction and plan, basically. But there's so much to do.
I know you're aimed at children, but it must be so nice for the families to see the child smile. It must be therapeutic for them. It's a one less worry for them for a short period of time, I suppose. Helps them recover. So it's not just the children that are benefiting. It's the whole. And even, like you say, the teachers. No teacher wants to see a child be traumatised in a classroom. So it's such a big picture.
And that's exactly what we realise that we've been doing for years. Although we almost sell ourselves short a little bit, because you're right. It's like, actually, the families are ringing us because they trust us. They don't know who else to call. So they're asking us about housing, pensions. Can you help with this? Can you help with that? And a lot of the time we can make those calls, and you have to make 3 calls before you find the answer. But at least you haven't sent them on that journey. You've actually done that for them. And then you're like, this is the person you need to call. They know your story. They know, because we've had consent to share, and, you know, and you've saved them having to go through that whole, oh my God, like phoning around, trying to get the right person. And also, just most of the time it's reassurance, exactly what you said with you're doing good. Like, actually, you're doing really well. You're doing everything that we would suggest. Like, that's a lot of it.
Just having that place to turn to. And do you know what? I've been so naive to what you guys do, because it sounds absolutely incredible. Like, yes, in the first instance, it may be that, right, come to us, let's have some fun.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you follow the child all the way through their journey, to the point where maybe you'll always be there for them in some capacity, even if it's just, oh, you're right, Nikki, remember me? Oh,
exactly.
Yeah, of course I do.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
I mean, originally when we started, it was originally it's just for families in service. So when someone dies in service, then it was like we were getting those calls where it's like, my husband served 22 years. He died last week. Like, he'd only been out 6 months, and now you can't help his son. Like, and I was like, so we changed our objectives because we like, that is not right. Like, serving or veteran, they've served our country. Like, we should look after their children. So that was the first change. The second one was we used to go up to 19 and now we go up to 25. Although, like you say, they're like, I've just had a baby. And you're like, oh,
but that must be amazing though, to have that connection with people.
Yeah, and some don't get me wrong. Like, some of them don't. And that is fine. I like to think that they will always know that if they hit and they know where to go if they need us, but they don't actually, they're like, they've gone off, they're cool. It's just up to them. And that's the best thing. It's like, and then sometimes you get, I know we've had like young people that have left and they're like, you don't understand what a difference this charity has made to my life. It has literally saved my life. And when you look at their records, you're like, they haven't come to any events. They haven't had bereavement support. We haven't supported them in their school. They've just been sent gifts and vouchers. And then you realise just how powerful that is. That you're like, actually, it's just someone going, we're still here. We've not forgotten.
It's just that belonging, isn't it? Just to wear the T-shirt. I know, do you still have the medals? Do the children still get medals?
They do, yeah. Some of them do. Yeah.
Do the kids or children, do they, or not all children, I suppose, up to 20, do they support each other?
Yeah, 100%.
And I suppose that's powerful as well.
So good, yeah. And I never realised that at the beginning at all. I totally underestimated that. In fact, at the beginning, I was like, we're not doing group events. I can't stand the thought of sitting with a bunch of widows and my kids would be awful. They would play up. Like, I'm never taking, I was like, but actually what I realised, the more I got told that you need to, and the more I got to know families, I was like, that is 100% powerful. And again, they don't have to come, but normally when you get one there, they're then like, thank God I came to this. I've just my hearing just fell out. It's random. I'll take this one out or a little bit off. They're like, I've just now I've made friends. I've swapped numbers with someone. Like, families go on holiday together because they met.
Wow, it's amazing. A proper community.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like, you lose that. You might have amazing mates in the military. I mean, not all families will live on a garrison, but like, you literally, it's like what I said with the house. You literally feel like you are no longer part of it. As much as like 2RTR were brilliant with me, I instantly felt out the loop. Like, I was like, I don't know where I belong now. Like, I'm in this garrison, but like, I don't belong here. Like, but then when I go home, I'm like, that's almost like saying that part of my life never existed. It's bizarre. It's the most weirdest feeling. Yeah. And that is the community at Scotty's. It's like, it keeps that community of like giving them a sense of like, this is where I am then.
I remember the wives in Egypt squadron, the wives were so close. And when we come back from Afghanistan, the wives had made our beds in our rooms, and we had like a 6-pack of Budweiser, wash kit, shower gel. I'd never seen that before on the other tours. It was a really close squadron. And,
really close, really caring, really
and I think for the married lads, I was a singly, but the married lads, it was nice for them to know that their wives at home, not at home with the kids alone. There is other wives popping around for a cup of tea and.
Oh God, like, you'd go insane if you didn't have that. And like their welfare team were really good as well. I always remember Jace Chapman. He came round, he knocked at my door to give me something that Lee had asked him to drop off. I don't like, something to do with a wage slip or something or other. And but obviously my heart absolutely sank because I saw Jace welfare at my door, and I thought, oh my God. And I'll never forget, because he said to me after that, I'm never ever gonna do that ever again to a wife, like, while they're on tour. Like, he said, I can't apologize enough. I was like, it's cool, it's fine, Jace. But it's just, you learn. Like, everyone's learning at that point, and that's the thing. Like, now, we're with it. We're working with the MOD. We work with Cpl. You now see nothing's ever perfect. Like, we never get things 100% right, but actually people do care. They are trying. They are like learning. That tour taught a lot. Even now there's improvements being made all the time. So that's where, like, if we can, there's no point me going, the MOD was shit, this didn't happen, because actually that doesn't solve anything. Like, it's happened. and you can't change it, but actually I can work with them to try and help to make this a little bit better for someone else. So that's kind of the attitude that we go with.
Yeah, Nikki, I think I can certainly relate to that. I'm happy. I will call out bad practice. I will call out poor treatment, but I'm not a keyboard warrior where I'm just going to sit there and moan. I'm going to try and take action, and I keep fighting until something changes, because I think there are unfortunately a lot of veterans that say that, oh, the country doesn't do enough for me, pity me, and you're only bringing yourself down.
Yeah, exactly. So
if somebody's listening to this and they're the partner of a veteran or a serving person, and their partner passes away, what should they do? Obviously, reach out to you by phone or email, but what can they expect from the process?
Yeah, it's really, we try and make it as simple as ever, like as for everyone. So, and that again, having the experience is where I always think Scotties are a little bit different to some other charities sometimes, because it's like, it's the same thing with like trying to get families to come to an event, but knowing that family will not want to come to this. Like, so we pay travel allowance if they need us to pay their travel. You know, we will do like an online call so they can come and talk to us about what it's going to be like. Children with special needs that need to know, I need to know what is there, like, so I can prep them. So we try and do all that before they've even, we set up WhatsApp group chats with whoever's going to be there. So they start chatting to families before they get there. So it's not even the event, it's all the stuff before and following through. And it's the same with the membership, trying to make it as simple as possible, because in those times you do not want to be filling out a form that you can't understand, because that is, you won't do it, you just won't even bother. So the forms, we have to ask certain questions because we need to, you know, due diligence and checks, and we need to know certain information so we know what we can do. But try and make it as easy as possible. So it's now online, so they don't even have to call us if they don't want to. They can go on our website and do the form. And so sometimes we get members that we had no idea were coming our way. If they're in service, the VO should already be referring them through to us. The RAF, don't mean to slag the army, but the RAF, when it comes to referrals, are up there. Like,
it honestly doesn't surprise me.
I try and say it all the time, hoping that the army will be like, oh, we'll sort. But no, they are good, and it is getting better. I don't want to diss them, but the RAF are incredible with their families at the beginning. Like with the we get notified straight away of the VO details as soon as there's a death in service, and we reach out to the VO, which can also be really good, because you can then help the VO, because the VO will be like, don't know how to have this conversation, and our team can go, use this, try this, like give us a ring later if you need. So it's all those things that you don't realize are going on, but the families literally reach out to us any way they want, you know, like we've got a mobile number, they can text, email, they can fill out the form without it. And then also the other thing I'd say is, don't panic if on the form it says you need certain documents. Like we do put on the form, please don't panic, but if you haven't got these, let us know. But it's just expressing that, like, if you are divorced, and there's another family, or there's all these different family situations. So if you haven't got like the death certificate or confirmation of service, it doesn't matter. Like we can work around it, and just the main thing is just to reach out in any way you want, and then our team will take it from there and help them through it. So
the thing that keeps coming up is lived experience, and like the things with the kids that you've supported having their sort of groups and sort of feeding back into the charity. And you mentioned something at the beginning about walking into this room with like big honchos of charities and that, and there's you thinking, bloody hell, what am I doing here? But like lived experience, like you can have all the qualifications in the world, and there's a place for them, but that lived experience, especially with and I'll make this up, with children who are they haven't got the world experience, they're not adults, to be able to have another kid their age talk to them or be alongside them. I think it's massive,
giving them
isn't
the
it?
confidence as well to walk in. Like sometimes the young people, so we have a council, it's got like a young 30 aged from 11 to 25, all from different backgrounds, all from different services, different causes of death. But they literally they tell you what they think.
Yeah.
Like, they will tell you that's rubbish. Like, that won't help us. This is what
Yeah.
the ones that told us focus on schools, you know. But we love them because we can give them guys some training, support them. They've all got different skills. So some are good in front of a camera, some hate the camera, but they're really good. Some are studying like animations, so helped make some animations. Like, they've got massive skills that we're just like, this is incredible. Like, they spoke at and some of them spoke at an event and showed their animations, and you had people from the MOD, people from the exam boards there, people from big charity, like, and they got up there and spoke, and you could hear a pin, like when a bereaved child gets up and speaks, it's like people listen much more than us do it. Like you said, it's lived experience, it's powerful.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I've learned over the years, you need both. You need
of
a
course.
good mixer, but you need the lived experience 100%. And then you just need the professionals that are trained and know and can just protect.
And nurture the lived experience.
Yeah.
And you said again earlier on, like when Lee passed away, it was that time of Help for Heroes. I mean, so I was on Herrick 11, so which was the end of 2009, and I came out to a world where it's Help for Heroes. As you said, it was front page of the Sun all the time. Now we've moved so far away from that, and I can imagine that the public, I'm not saying they're not interested, but their focus is elsewhere. And I guess that the fight for money and funding is always a challenge.
Always. It's really hard, really hard. It is like the worst part, because you can see the need, you can see the difference the services having, you can see what else needs to be done, but you can't always do it because you're like, there's no money there. So it is constant, where are we gonna, like, every year, just constantly, like, it's horrible. And the pressure and the responsibility of that is massive. But it's also, I mean, it's Stuart's leadership skills and marketing background, and last year in the summer, like, I talk about it quite openly, Scottish were in a really bad financial way, and it was the first time that me and Stuart was like, this is, I don't know how we're going to do this. Like, the charity could stop if we don't do something. And he literally turned the team's focus literally around from like individuals, like the general public, into just focus on corporate, multi-year deals. So we have got secured funding and gives you that breather. And it's not a breeze, because it's still really hard to get into these corporates and get to the right place. And also they're always so enthusiastic and do other things. We're like, we love all that, but we really need your cash. Like, it's really hard. And when you're naturally not a person that wants to go, give us your money.
Do the old Bob Geldof thing.
It's hard. It's just hard. I think it always will be. And all charities have found that, not just Scotty's. Like, that is a thing across the board. Like, all the charities are like, this is tough. And you're right, that if you're not, in Afghan, at the height of Afghan, it was everywhere. Like, and now it's just, you've just got to find new ways, like world changing. You just got to find a new approach. Like, in 2 years' time, it's probably going to be a different approach. And, we'll just keep going, basically. We're keep going. So,
do you get any support from what I like to call the big boys of armed forces charities, like the RBL, SAFA?
Not financial yet. But building relationships, it's what takes the time. It's what I said at the beginning. The biggest barrier is that credibility. Building when I look back now, I'm like, me and Stuart sometimes have these moments, not often because we're too busy to bloody stop, but quite, we will sit there and we'll come out of a meeting like with Prince Harry and his team, and we'll be like, bloody hell, like, look at how far we've come. Like, people and the Defence Bereaved Families Group, which is like a meeting with the MOD and all the charities, we are being asked to come to things now. Whenever there's a thing about bereaved families, or even just families, we are invited to the table, and that has took years. So it's just continuing that awareness,
and that shows that credibility is there. And it's brilliant. There's another side to Scotty's about the advocacy and sort of supporting the wider community, as it were, and helping them understand.
When
So
I'm
if
nervous though, or I go to an event where I'm like, oh God, like I don't know, like it's just like, oh no, these people, and I'm gonna, and then I could just hear Lee in my back of my head going, go on, babe, go on, babe. You're meant to be there, babe. Go on, babe. And it helps because you're like, I don't care what these people
Yeah.
think. Like, this is why we know why we're here. We know
Yeah.
the difference we make, and we're going to continue to stay. So yeah, we learned a lot.
Right.
Last year was actually, now I feel like it was a really good, sounds bad, but it was a really good thing to happen because it really made us all step back, reevaluate, look at how the world's changed, and just refocus. And now, like, we ended up finishing that year stronger than we thought we were gonna when we did the budget for the year. So and now we've started the year so strong, and like you say, the credibility. So it's just learning all the time. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So how can, apart from turning out their pockets and donating their money to Scotty's, how else can people get involved and support?
The biggest one, apart from financial, is awareness. So
Yeah.
like you say, everyone knows who Scotty's is. They honestly don't, like, or they don't know who we support. Or I still get, I thought you just did the holidays. That's nice.
Yeah.
So it's that trying to, like, actually, like, you know, we now we support up to 25 and stay in touch, because actually we're tracking the effects that Scotty's has on a child's life for as long as we can, because actually it gives you that data. But so veteran serving, reserve, regularist, pre-bereavement we've just launched as well. So as soon as a parent gets a terminal diagnosis, Scotty's can come in at that point. Don't necessarily mean we do loads with the family, because they might have the support from the hospice. It's not duplicating, but it's being there to make that journey actually a bit easier. Like, and then what's the other one? Yeah, any cause of death. I think that's all of it. Yeah, and we literally have families all across England, Ireland, Germany, Cyprus, America, Australia, like, because it's virtual most of the time. Yeah. It's really cool. I mean, the team keeps saying, do we want to do a face-to-face in Australia? We're like, I'll go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what does the future hold? I mean, as you said, I guess you've got to be flexible because you don't know what's around the corner. But what are you? What's your dream for Scotty's, apart from to be on? Well, to be everywhere and to be the go-to.
Like we've always said, we'll be as big as it's needed, like, and we'll be around for as long as it's needed. So for me and Stuart, it's very much like when it's about foundations and frameworks and making sure that sustainability, I guess, like making sure that when we're not here, this charity can carry on. And be around. Like, we're not saying there's never a figure on we need to be this size charity, but actually it's about, there are so many, like, there every year. I mean, last year, I think it was 85 deaths in service. So even though we're not on, you know, inactive duty, there are constant. I mean, we are constantly, like, every week we'll get new members come through. And then there's like estimates that we can do now is like 2,100 children a year are bereaved, like veteran or serving communities. So you're just like, there are so many more out there that aren't reaching out. And also that sometimes there's a stigma of like, well, I don't need a bereavement charity because my kids are doing all right at the minute. And it's getting that message across to people that even if if your kids are in a good place, that's incredible. And probably due to good family support, but actually join Scotty's and just benefit from, you know, knowing there's someone there, because there will be, or there could be a time when they just need a bit. We offer grants as well, because we see that, like, there's barriers. So there's, you know, we do small grants, but there's just things like £1,000 when a child goes to uni, or £150 every year for every child to use to help join a club, to get them social, or to help with the development, and it's things like, it's like join and just receive the grants. In the back of our heads, we know that means we're there if they need them, and it's that reassurance. But to the families, we're like, you don't just have to join because you're like, my child doesn't need, because they need support emotionally. So but I think for us, just moving forward, is to try and help as many people affected by military bereavement as we can. That's the new
aim,
goal.
It's
but
brilliant.
There's a lot to do. So
that's amazing. It really is.
Have you got anything, Steve?
No, I'm just like I say, I've known Scotty's from day one. You know, it's the pride of the Royal Tank Regiment. Really, we're proud that you wear our colours. And
well, you're giving it to one RTR as well.
No,
I thought it was a 2 RTR.
I don't know about that. They had red, we had saffron. But
there you go.
No, it's amazing.
I got an RTR t-shirt the other day, and we were like, I think it was Joe, because I'm remarried, and he was also a 2 RTR, so I get it all the time, constantly at home, and Joe will be like, bro, why have you got white stripes on the top? She's like, that's what, and she wants to join the army, so oh God, we'll see what happens. But
good on her.
It's
thank you to you and all your team and everyone involved. It's amazing. All the people who collect for you. I know a few people that do, and it's brilliant. Really is great.
We have the best supporters. I like they are. When someone supports us and does a collection, and everything helps. We're focusing on corporates, but that's a tactic. A plan. Yeah. Like when someone donates or fundraises for us, especially if they are like RTR, literally the team are like, Nikki, do you know this person? Got an RTR. We love it when anyone, because it means. Like you saying the regiment are proud, and that means loads, because that's what this is to me is Lee's legacy. And it was like Lee was too big a character to just be forgotten about. I knew there had to be something more for Lee to be. I mean, he loved the limelight, right?
First time I met him was in 2004. I went sailing with him, and he done my head in, because he was he was brilliant. He loved sailing. He loved anything he done. He was 100 miles an hour, 100%. Whereas it was a few of us, and it was me and this Fusilier lad. We just wanted to go down the pub. But Lee just wanted to learn more and more. And we'd finish at the end of the day, and then he'd be asking the skipper questions and that. And we're like, come on, let's go down the pub. He's hang on, I just want to finish this. And when he put his mind to something, he did it good. Yeah. Done a good job of it.
Brooke's the same. It's mad, isn't it? It's like, it must be, the genes must speak for themselves. Because I'm like, she couldn't have learnt this stuff. I mean, she even sticks her tongue out when she concentrates, and has this gloomy look of like that Lee used to have sometimes. I'm like, that is insane. You literally look like your dad, and you couldn't have learned that.
Yeah. She does.
It's that thing of nature or nurture, and it puzzles me as well. I'm like, wow.
Yeah. No, I love seeing that in her. Like, it's a real, she just doesn't care who's watching. She'll dance wherever, she'll do what she doesn't care. And I'm like, that Brilliant. Is your dad. 100%. So I love the fact that, every time someone says Scotty's or something, to me, it's like, it's an amazing thing, because it's like, and I always remember there was, in his little black book that come back in his box of stuff from Afghan, it's really weird, this story that we've got memory boxes, we've got stuff in the loft, we've got stuff, there's loads of stuff. I kept everything I could. And, but we've got our own memory box that is by our beds, me and the kids have both got them. And with there more stuff aftershave, watch, wallet, things like that. And obviously when I have a moment, I just take myself and have a little look. And I've done that over the years. And this one particular time, a few years ago, probably 3 years ago, there's this black book in there that has always been in there, but I've never properly looked at it. It's bizarre to think. I've probably flicked like that and gone, oh, it's briefing notes or stuff I don't understand, numbers and different things. And then this one time I sat there, and at the very last thing he wrote at the back, it said, "We will make life better for the everyday Afghan people." And it literally was like you are still making life better for people. In your memory, we're still, you are. And just seeing it in his writing, "We will make life better," I was like, that is mad that you wrote that out in Afghan, probably, I'm guessing. And to see it and was like, your name is still helping people. Yeah. It's just the coolest Powerful. Thing and the most, yeah. So it's nice to know the regiment are proud of Scotty's.
Yeah, definitely. Anytime I meet up with my mates, there's always someone in a Scotty's t-shirt. You see that?
Constantly.
Yeah, Chrissy Bree. Yeah, that logo's everywhere. Everywhere we go, there's always a Scotty's logo somewhere.
I love it, but that's the awareness. It's more powerful than what you think, because one person sees that, goes, "What's that?" And then they know a bereaved family. You're like, new family joining. It is so. Or someone goes and does a run or something for us. So
we've had a few. My mate Bottle, Stoner. They've recently raised money for Scotty's doing stupid events, marathons and 100-mile walks and silly things.
I love it. Thank you.
Well, Nikki, it's been a absolute honour having you on the Beyond the Wire podcast. And I have to say, I remember the guys I served with that were married and living on the patch. And I remember one particular man, I think he'd been on pretty much back-to-back tours for the best part of 6 years. And again, it's that thing, everyone thinks about the veteran or the bloke going to war, but the wives behind them are put through it as well. And what you've done with such an incredibly sad situation is inspiring to everyone. And it shows if people take some responsibility and some action, then incredible things can happen.